What's poppin'? Today, I'm gonna be doing a little bit of book review, a little bit of book recommending. That sounds really weird. Book recommendations. But I am gonna be recommending books. Just book recommending sounds really weird. Anyways, I keep saying I'm gonna put out more book recommendations and stuff like that. I never do. I still got all the book recommendations in my highlights if you haven't checked that out. But today, since I'm doing a video, I'll get a tiny bit more in depth, and I'm gonna keep it at 5 books today. If you want to see more, if you want to see a specific genre or whatever, let me know, and I can make it more specific. Today's gonna be kind of general, and just some books that pop into my head when people ask for book recommendations. So, the first one, I used to be a miserable bleep by John Kim. Why I just bleeped that out, I'm not really sure because I cuss on here all the time. I used to be a miserable fuck by John Kim. I really like this book because I think I have different perspectives on manhood, and that's what this book is about. It's about um, what this guy, the angry therapist, thinks about manhood and masculinity and stuff like that. And I feel like my views about masculinity and manhood kind of challenge the mainstream thoughts about them. And so when I read this book, it kind of was like, I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm not weird. I don't think differently than every single person on the planet. And I'll put a little cutout of the book cover and the passage that I'm about to talk about. But one of the things that pops into my head from this book was uh, a chapter he did on responsibility versus freedom. And he was just saying that like part of being a man or an adult, it can apply to men and women, is responsibility. We have stuff that we have to take care of. We have to take care of our kids. We have to take care of sustenance for ourselves to live. Stuff like that. It's not all about, oh, I should be able to do this. I should be able to do this. I should be free. I should be whatever. It's like that's not real life. We got stuff that we have to do, and that's what being a man is about. That's what being an adult is about. Taking care of the things that you have to take care of, right? And doing a good job of it and not complaining. So that's a book that you should read if you're a young male. I think it was a good book. It had a lot of other good lessons too about treating women in your life correctly, not like objects, talking about the value of hard work, blah, blah, blah. Next book, Brave Enough by Cheryl. I don't know how to say her last name, to be honest. Strayed. I don't know. But I post this passage on my story all the time, and nobody ever knows where it's from. But I'll post it up here right now. And that book is actually from women. It has a lot of passages. It's like a collection of poems almost, little short 1-page stories. Reminding herself and other women that they can accomplish things and that they can do things. But just like I said about the last book, just because something is aimed at a target audience doesn't mean that you can't take a lot of stuff from it. So a lot of the stuff, there's something that's really itching my mustache, itching my nose. Sorry. A lot of stuff in that book, I feel like resonated with me. If it didn't resonate with me, I was just interested to read it. It's always good to see other perspectives, see how people think. It can help you, with your own thoughts and maybe change some things that you thought. So that book, it's really good. Like I said, it's a collection of passages about being brave, being strong, reminding yourself that fear is okay. You can feel that fear and do the stuff that you need to do anyways. Really good. Third one, The Lion Tracker's Guide to Life. In short, it's about a guy that is not from Africa, that is not a lion hunter, going out into the wilderness with these lion trackers and living their life and realizing that they have a real purpose, and they're really connected to nature, and they don't complain about, not having enough money, not having enough food or whatever. Like, it's just life. If they have food, they eat it. If they have money, they spend it. But it's not like, oh man, I gotta get rich. I gotta blah blah blah. Like, because their family tradition is set. Like, this is my purpose. This is what I do, and they they enjoy it. They wake up early. They're excited to go do what they do. You know, like you could have all the money in the world, but if you roll out of bed and you're like, man, I don't want to do this today, that sucks. It's not life, bro. That's not tight. So that one's a bit out there. It's weird. You have to be able to kind of pull the lessons from the book. There's like summaries and pictures and stuff, but it's not like a typical self-help book where it's like chapter summary, this is what you need to do, this is an actionable step. Nah, it's like telling the story of how these lion trackers live, and there's just a lot of lessons that you can pull out of that, right? Fourth book, A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. If you don't know me already, I'm a huge reader, but I started reading when I was a kid. I finished the first Harry Potter book when I was like 6 years old, and I finished it in one day, bro. Like 400 something pages. That's how long I've been reading. But there was a period when I stopped. I just kind of got like tired of reading. My dad kind of forced reading on me, and I was just tired of it. But I got kicked out of college, and I was just like, start reading again. I don't have shit else to do all day. And this was the first book I picked up. I went to Barnes and Noble. This was like 2012. This book had already been out for a minute, but it wasn't a new release. But I think it was still popping because it was one of the first books I saw. It was like on the main shelf in the self-help books or whatever. And this book kind of has like a religious feel to it, but it's not actually religious. It's kind of like spiritual, and it's about like living in the now, right? But by living in the now and becoming a better person, you can create a new earth because, you know, a flower blossoms and it germinates and it spreads and you create flowers and flowers and flowers. That's the whole concept of the book. And in the beginning of the book, it's been like 10 years, so give me a pass. In the beginning of the book, it kind of talks about how at one point there was no flowers on the earth. It was just straight up weeds, which is true. And a flower bloomed, and now there's flowers everywhere. And he likened that to Jesus Christ. That's why I said it's a bit of a religious book, but I don't even know if he's religious. I think he just used that as an example because he knew people would relate to it. Anyway, it's a really good book. I think you should check it out. Last book, Incognito by David Eagleman. He's a neuroscientist. I've watched a lot of his videos too. I read this book probably shortly after I read A New Earth. I read both of those books a really long time ago, but they always stuck with me. This book stuck with me because I had one way of viewing, you know, like criminals and people that did bad things. You know, you just automatically say, oh, they're evil, they're evil, they're evil. But this book and neuroscience in general allows us to see how much control we don't really have, right? Just even when you're talking about alcoholics, drug addicts, blah, blah, blah. It's like they're two different people because you have, you know, the subconscious stuff going on and you have your conscious mind. If you're trying to stay away from drugs, you know you're trying to stay away. You know you're trying to stay away from alcohol. You clear the alcohol out of your house. You tell people don't drink around me. You tell people I don't want to be anywhere around drugs because you know you're susceptible to fall. It's not your conscious mind that's falling. It's the processes that are happening within you. And the story in that book that he actually gave, I can't remember this dude's name. Charles Whitman? Whatever. His last name was Whitman, the tower shooter. Boy Scout, Marine, super, super good dude. Started keeping a journal because he felt like something was wrong. And something was wrong. He ended up killing his parents. And he went on the UT Tower and shot all those people and then died, right? So it turns out that he had a tumor that was pressing up against his amygdala that was fucking him up, you know? And that was literally out of his control. He had his conscious mind that knew something was up, and he still couldn't stop it. He kept a whole journal, and he said, please autopsy me when I die and see what was wrong with me, because he knew something was going on. So after I read that, it changed how I felt about a lot of stuff. It's not to say that people still shouldn't, like, you still have to get separated from society, right? But it just changed how I felt about the things that they did, or about them for doing it, I should say. The things that they're doing are still tragedies. It's not like, oh, he has a tumor on his amygdala, like, let's still let him go to work the next day. Like, nah, it's fucked up. I get it. But I used to say, that's pure evil. Pure evil. But it's not that black and white. So that's the point of the book. Anyways, that was all 5. That's a lot of rambling. I hope you got something out of that. Like I said, I'll put pictures of the books just in case you can't understand my rambling. I'll put some passages up if it matches up with what I was saying. And I'll do more videos like this if you want, but you just got to comment or message me and tell me what topics, what kind of videos you want about those books. Because I could talk about one book for fucking 30 minutes. Just let me know. It's about whatever with me. You feel me? Have a good day. And like I said, let me know. And if you haven't subscribed already, you're a bitch. And you should. And you should tell your aunties and your uncles and your cousins to subscribe. Because what are you doing? Like, why haven't you done that? Exactly. You don't have a good answer. Have a nice day, though.